Hey, peace family. Will Myers with Myers Massage and Bodywork, and today we're going to talk about the importance of flexibility. Okay, why is it important? What is it in the first place? When should you be stretching? Such a huge and common question. My idea is just to go through some of the most common questions that I hear on a regular basis and see if we can knock that out in a quick video. If you can think of anybody that could use some help explaining flexibility, or if you're trying to pass them a hint, hey, I think you should stretch a little bit more, see if you can shoot this video over to them real quick. So in that bottom corner where you see the little paper airplane, see if you can send this out to about 5-10 people for me. Help me get this word out, pass this message. So once again, what is flexibility? So flexibility in the first place, we're talking about the musculature and anatomy of your body and that relationship compared to the study of kinesiology. Now, kinesiology itself is the study of movement and how the body moves. So I'm trying to figure out what is the relationship between how my body has musculaturely developed compared to how the body is supposed to move naturally. Okay? So we want to get you as close as possible to that natural side. However, because of life, because of sedentary jobs, because of standing all the time, or because of driving all the time, or whatever it is that you do on a regular basis, your body has slowly molded itself to be the most comfortable, positioned, and formed version of yourself. Now, unfortunately, some of us do have chronic pain. That is also a result from the body trying to balance out whatever type of imbalance there was. And unfortunately, many times pain is the result while the body's trying to fix itself. So many times we have to actually put effort forth to help make sure that we're okay. If you think about your favorite athlete or your favorite bodybuilder, favorite actor, I guarantee the common thing that you have in between them, even if they're professional athletes, is that you're not stretching enough. Okay, it's common across the board. That's why there's so many inflammation-related injuries in the athletic world. Okay, and the problem is, it's not just the athletes nowadays. Okay, we're realizing that the same type of inflammation and joint issues can happen to people who are not in the athletic world, just because of how our lives have started to slowly condition our bodies. Okay, because we sit all the time, we drive all the time, especially these last couple months, we've been sitting around a lot. I guarantee that your body is slowly changing. Okay, the best way for me to describe this is, imagine if I'm sitting at a desk watching a seminar and I'm sitting like this the entire time. Okay, the entire time. Okay, the next day the seminar comes in. Chances are, since I sat like this for about 8 hours, I'm going to sit like this again. Okay, now on that third day, probably wouldn't even take the third day, but if I was to try and sit like this, the other arm's on top, it's going to feel completely different. And you probably already feel like this yourself. It's going to feel like this shoulder's raised just a little bit more. It's just not going to feel right. I'd much rather just switch and just set into this nice, comfortable position. Okay? The reason this is comfortable for me is because what I naturally do. So my body has slowly changed the structure of my shoulder blades, the elbow joint, the shoulder joint, and made it more comfortable for me to sit like this, which is why it's different when I do this here. So that means that I feel there's a certain imbalance between the two, but in order for me to cater to my comfort, I'm naturally going to do what's easier. Okay, and that's in the entire body. That's not just the shoulders. It's in your knees, it's in your hips, it's in your feet and your ankles, every single thing. There's a term called tensegrity, and in our industry, tensegrity is just referring to the fact that everything works together. So if one foot on the right hand side or left hand side is affected, there's a really good chance that something is happening in the shoulders as well, because your body is going to try to find some type of balance with whatever you give it. Okay, the idea is to make sure that what we give it is a properly balanced program. Okay, if your program includes sitting at 8 hours every day for work, you have to think about that. Okay, this is the first part of my day, or this is the longest part of my day. I need to combat this 8 hours of sitting with something beforehand and something after, because you're going to do it again tomorrow, and we don't want the glutes and posterior muscles to start getting really weak. The reason they get weak is they realize, okay, I don't need to hold you up anymore. I need to become soft cushions because you're going to sit on me all day. Okay, we don't want that to happen, especially in the glutes. When the glutes start to get weak, we automatically start feeling lower back pain. Okay, lower back pain is everywhere, and there are so many causes. Lower back pain could be an entire book and encyclopedia itself. Okay, but this specific one, the weaknesses of the muscles in the back of the body from sitting all the time, piled on top of the tightnesses from sitting like this all the time, scrunching up the front of the body, those two together are going to cause that lower back pain. Okay, so that kind of taps into what is flexibility and some of the places that we should stretch. Remember, the main idea of where do I stretch is completely dependent on me. I need to stretch and combat whatever's going on in my regular life. So if I, once again, sitting all the time, I got to combat that. Walking up and down bleachers, carrying, anything, any concession stands in front of the body is going to throw off the body. You got to combat and stretch against that. Getting up into a really high truck every day, you're going to have to stretch and combat against that. Literally, just think about it. Everything that we do slowly molds the created anatomy that you are right now. Okay, that may be painful for some and it may be not for others. Okay, but it's a consistent battle daily, monthly, yearly, okay, quarterly of your life is to figure out, okay, how can I come back better? How can I do this a little bit better next time? Okay, physically, right? That's a whole nother video on mentally and emotionally and all that. But when we're talking physically, how can I combat tomorrow and finish the day stronger and feeling better? Okay, so the next thing is, when should you stretch? In my philosophy of building the body, there's 3 different parts. You got to build the body with strength. You need to stretch the muscles, and then you need to create some type of rehab or myofascial release or foam rolling therapy ball, something to release any type of congestion in the muscle. So you need those 3 parts: building, stretching, and rehab or massage. Okay. Now, the stretching is very important when it happens. There's pre-workout stretching and there's post-workout stretching. Okay. The purpose of the pre-workout stretching is you want to slowly open up the muscles, slowly open up the joint, show the joint, this is what we're going to be doing today in practice. This is how I need you to perform. Okay. That's a dynamic stretch. Something that may be held for anywhere from 3 to 5 to maybe 8 seconds at the most. Once we get into that 10-second, 30-second, 60-second range, we're starting to get into the static stretching. Dynamic stretching pre-workout, static stretching post-workout. There's also intra-workout stretching, which would also be dynamic stretching too. Think about static stretching as if you had a bunch of rubber bands and you're slowly pulling them apart to get really long. Okay, that's that long 30-second stretch. The issue with that is if you do that before then asking that muscle to perform, and its job is to contract and extend, if its job is to do that and you fully lengthen it out, there's a really good chance the first couple times it does that, it's going to knot itself up. So what we want to do, that's reserved for post-workout, okay? Or 20 to 30 to 45 minutes to an hour before production of needing to do it at a game, because then you can also have time to fit the dynamic stretches in. Once again, dynamic stretches are anything from that 3 to 5 to 10, maybe 15 seconds on the hold. No bouncing, but again, you're going to the muscle's preferred length, optimal length, and then you're just contracting. So if it's a hamstring stretch, you're maybe reaching to the toes for 2 to 3 seconds and then coming right back up, but doing it again 10 times. It's going to slowly open up the length of that muscle rather than just opening up long. Remember, the purpose is to get the muscle warm for your workout, okay? So that right there is before workout and after workout. So that's me actually saying that that's 2 stretches per 1 workout. So that's a 2-to-1 ratio. My recommendation is actually 4 times a day. Finding stretches that work for you in the morning, right when you wake up, before your cardio, before you get going. Finding stretches to do right before your workout to get your muscles ready. Then stretching and releasing and foam rolling those muscles to release any inflammation and tension that you created, right? And then at the end of the day, actually cooling everything down, coming up with a couple stretches that help you release, once again, whatever you tightened over the day. You want to see if you can start fresh in the morning, going after having done what you already did for the day. That is technically a workout. Remember, it's always about combating. So you better stretch, okay? Once again, if you know anybody this can help, shoot this out to them for me real quick. Will Myers on flexibility, I'll see you soon.